So you're getting a standby letter of credit and you want to figure out how to monetize it. You're frustrated because you don't know what the true LTV, loan to value of the instrument is going to be. You're frustrated with 30 or 50 different desks and brokers you've been talking to because none of them seem to be legitimate. You're frustrated with the cost that some people are asking for. In this video, I'm going to solve or help solve all of that. I'm going to show you how to figure out or help figure out what the LTV of the instrument is going to be, what the correct monetization procedure is going to be. I'm going to give you all the information you need so you can monetize an SBLC quickly and profitably. You've got to watch this. I'm Taimour. I'm from Lana Credit. My organization is a world-class leader in issuing, monetizing various banking instruments, standby letters of credit, documented letters of credit, currency deposits. We even monetize IBOEs. We are also helping companies get access to non-recourse as well as recourse loans on various different geographies at rates that banks can't match, as well as help corporations participate in safe private placement programs that we know and we trust. So a common question I get, and it's for frustration from a lot of clients, is Taimour, we've got a standby letter of credit that somebody's going to be issuing. We're trying to figure out what the LTV is going to be, how to monetize it, and how do we find a desk that we know and we can trust. First, I'm going to start with a story. I feel like when people have a story, they understand technical details far better versus without a story. This is a true story, and I'm going to be giving you the wrong numbers for confidentiality reason, as well as put in numbers that I think makes a little bit more sense from a storytelling perspective. In March of 2020, this is a true story, oil prices hit negative territory. A billionaire in Toronto decided to take advantage of the situation and buy himself an oil tanker, a storage tanker, so he can take oil that's in negative territory, store it for a while, and when oil prices climb back up, he can go sell and make a small little fortune just simply because of market conditions. He makes a bunch of phone calls and finds a provider, somebody who manufactures oil storage tankers that he wants to do business with. This guy's in South Africa. The truth is, he's not going to send $100 million to some guy he's never met in South Africa, praying and hoping that he'll get an oil storage tanker out, get shipped to him. The guy in South Africa is not going to build a $100 million storage tanker, ship it to the guy in Toronto, Canada, praying, hoping that when it gets here, his credit card is going to swipe through and it's going to get paid. So you have two different parties in two different legal jurisdictions. The utility that solves their concerns of trust is a standby letter of credit. Now, there's multiple different ways. There are multiple other utilities as well. But the truth is, standby letters of credit is a very desirable instrument. It has multiple different utilities and advantages to it. And this is the most important one, there's a lot of profit in the industry to be made from standby letters of credit. And so this is a perfect case study for a standby letter of credit to be issued. The buyer in Toronto calls his bank and says, Mr. Banker, I have $1 trillion, $1 billion in my bank account. I want you to issue a standby letter of credit where the beneficiary is the guy in South Africa for $100 million. Mr. Banker says, thank you very much. We will do that. And what the bank does in Toronto is they block, out of $1 billion or $1 trillion, whatever the client has, they block $100 million, so it gets blocked in the client's account. And they issue a standby letter of credit where the beneficiary is the guy in South Africa. The guy in Toronto sends the guy in South Africa a standby letter of credit. So now the guy in South Africa feels safe that he can build the storage tanker, ship it, and if the guy doesn't pay for it, he can go to his bank, to the buyer's bank, show them the SBLC and get $100 million cash literally that day. So that's the context, that's the storyboard. Now, standby letter of credit, the guy in South Africa, when he gets a $100 million order, he probably needs to hire 5, 20, maybe 100 people to build a storage tanker. Those people need to get paid on an ongoing basis. Then he needs to ship that storage tanker to a guy in Toronto. Well, there's a fee for that. But you've got an SBLC that's been issued, and the maturity date of the SBLC is a year out. So what are you going to do? So this is when a lot of people who receive SBLCs are looking for ways of cashing it and monetizing it like that. Some common ways where you can monetize a SBLC is you can go to a bank like HSBC London and you deposit that SBLC as collateral, and HSBC London gives you a line of credit at 4 times multiples. Now, I don't want to use the word HSBC. Most of any of the top 20 banks generally do that. They will take your SBLC as a deposit and they will give you a line of credit loan at 4 times multiples. So $100 million SBLC will give you $400 million cash. You can now draw down on that cash and pay for your suppliers, for your employees and so on to build that $100 million storage tanker. And then when you get paid your $100 million, you pay off your bank, you're happy you've done a profitable transaction. So that's a common one, is to use the SBLC and get a loan on it. Next thing that you can do is you can take that SBLC and you can go in a JV agreement. So there could be a startup, the startup guy needs cash, you have a SBLC, you get into a JV agreement, the SBLC is secure, the startup guy uses that security for him to go and get a loan, and other things he can do. Another option, and there's so many ways of slicing the cake that's not even funny. But another common option is that the receiver says, I have the SBLC, I need cash now, I don't want to go get a loan. So they go and they contact companies like linecredit.ai, private equity firm, they go to a bunch of brokers and say, who's going to give me the highest LTV? And then they try to sell that $100 million instrument at a discounted rate of 80 million, 75 million, like that, and get the cash out to pay for whatever they need to pay. Another one option is that they say, I'm going to get the SBLC. Where can I go find a private placement platform? Once again, they call linecredit.ai or a broker, and they're trying to go into a private placement program with an SBLC that they have. If you have a $100 million SBLC as example, you should be expecting to get $100 million a month for 10 months. So now you've got $1 billion. And then when you've done the storage tanker, you go to the guy who's bought the storage tanker and you get your $100 million from him as well. So there's it's a very lucrative ways to monetize SBLCs and leverage SBLCs. Now, the fact is, anything that can be digitalized can be manipulated. And when you have so much money in an instrument, unfortunately, you'll attract a lot of fraud. And when I mean fraud, you'll see a lot of joker brokers out there. You'll see a lot of false or fake trade desks out there that are trying to leverage the SBLC to do things that they shouldn't be doing. So one frequently question I get is, Taimour, I have a SBLC that's coming to me, or I have the instrument. How do I know what's the LTV? I'm going to give you some of the major factors that goes into pricing what's the loan to value LTV of a SBLC. One factor, that's a major factor, is who's the issuing bank. If the issuing bank is one of the top 20 banks on the planet, like Barclays or HSBC, the SBLC's value is significantly different compared to a no-name bank in South Africa. No-name bank in South Africa could get you 8%, 10% of LTV on a $100 million SBLC, versus SBLC from Barclays London could get you 80%, 100% like that. So do you want $8 million cash, or do you want $100 million cash? So the issuing bank matters. The next one is the issuing city. The SBLC from HSBC London is priced significantly different than HSBC Hong Kong as an example. Next factor is what's the face value of the instrument. Is it 5 million, 7 million? Most people I know don't want to touch instruments that small. Most people want 75, 100 million, 150 million, 500 million SBLCs. So the amount of the SBLC matters. The next thing that matters is the pre-languaging. Is it transferable? Is it irrevocable? Is it divisible? Is it cash back? Because if it's transferable, it means you can transfer it. Well, there's value in it. If it's callable, that means you or the bank can extend it. That's valuable. If it is divisible, that's valuable. Is it irrevocable? That's valuable. So the pre-languaging makes a significant difference on the value of the SBLC. The next one is, what's the SBLC? What's the cash behind the SBLC backed by? Is it cash back? Is it the billionaire in Toronto? Is it his cash? That's valuable. Is it backed by the shares of the bank? Well, if it's backed by the shares of the bank, it's worth a lot more than some billionaire or somebody who claims to be a billionaire, as an example. Is the source of the funds sovereign funds? Is the source of the funds something else. Like there are all these different things, like heritage funds as an example. So these are some of the things that matters. And then the next part of it is that, as the SBLC, do I require a GPI manual download as a SWIFT? These are some of the many factors that goes into what's the true LTV of the instrument. Unfortunately, most business owners who contact us, including an ample list of joker brokers out there who what we call shoppers, and we simply don't even return their calls back, are looking for high LTVs, and they don't even know what the SBLC is truly for. They don't understand the business context of it, like that. But these are the factors that goes into pricing a SBLC. If you really want to know what the true LTV of a SBLC is, you have to actually have the SBLC in your hand. Now, a company like Line of Credit, we do have an online store. Companies can purchase SBLCs that have given our clients the highest LTV. If not that, you can call your bank and say, give me an SBLC that's as close as cash, and have your banker figure out how to give you an SBLC that's as close as cash. So things that you can, the client, not joker brokers, the client themselves who have a relationship with their bank can do to get to hopefully get a high LTV. Now, in terms of the process, this is really important in terms of the monetization process. I'm going to give you a standard process that works 90% of the time, and it's just a standard process. The first part of it is that the person who is requesting the SBLC to be issued, whether it's purchasing or lease, makes no difference, has to come up with, here's my KYC. So if I tell you my name is Taimour Zaman, there should be a legal agreement that proves my name is Taimour Zaman. I should have a couple of legal IDs, like that. If I tell you I work in a company called linecredit.ai, I should have a couple of documents that proves there's a company called linecredit.ai, right? So that'll be incorporation documents. So a client needs to provide that information. And the second thing they need to provide is proof of funds. If they want to lease it, buy it, they need to show some kind of a screenshot of their bank that they have the money. Like that's the second thing. Third thing a client has to provide is RWA, ready, willing, able to transact. If a client doesn't have those three fundamental blocks, it's a transaction that's fake on the client side. In a minute, in a few minutes, I'll explain what you're looking from the provider side to authenticate the provider side. But these are things you need from the client side. Once you have that, what we do within Line of Credit is we give the client a fee agreement, a service fee agreement, a mutual NDA, so that they can feel close, disclose their confidential information to us, like that. Once we have that signed, we give them a deed of agreement, which says, here's the issuer. In some cases, it's our own trade desk. If there's a SBLC that we like, in many cases, we work with the top two trade desks on the planet, really we do, as well as a couple of family offices that we really like. So we provide a deed of agreement either from us or the providers we work with to the client, and now that both parties have to legally execute on that. What we find the big mistakes are that clients or brokers do is they ask for a BPU, a bank payment undertaking. Monetizers don't like bank payment undertaking. What it really is you're asking the bank to pay for the fees, for the SWIFT fees or the monetization fees. And if I'm the monetizer, why on earth do I want my bank to pay for the SWIFT fees, like monetization fees? I don't want that. That's a big mistake, and a lot of brokers, I refer to them, I call them joker brokers with capital J, who have no banking technical expertise, will call and say, we have a client, they have $500 million, and we're looking for a BPU. That's a call that's not worth even returning. We don't even return those kinds of calls. If a client has $500 million, they don't need a broker. Somebody who actually owns $500 million does not need to call a broker. Like, seriously. And a BPU, bank, like that's just like just a fraudulent. Anyway, I want to move on. Versus talking about all the mistakes that joker brokers do. What monetizers want is they don't want to hear about a client wanting a BPU. What they want is they want the client to actually pay for the banking, the SWIFT fees, the monetization fees. That's what every legitimate monetizer would want the client to do. And if you don't like that, please find a custodian account or some other way to do your transactions. The monetizing SBLCs may not be the best vehicle for you. The monetizer should do and must do is they must provide an MT760, which means they're blocking their funds in favor of the beneficiary. Once that's been done, they provide a MT799, which means he has proof of funds. Now the next part varies. Sometimes they do a MT502, which is selling off the instrument, followed by MT110, which is proof that the cash has gone out to the receiving bank, and now the receiving bank has the cash. All of this, in terms of monetization, takes literally between 7 to 10 banking days. We within LineCredit.ai have participated in some transactions that has closed within 24 hours, like that, but that's very rare for sure. So now I want to talk about fees. Our fees within LineCredit.ai is 1.5%. If there's a broker who's introducing us to a client, they usually add another 0.5%, so it becomes a total fees of 2%. But that's not the total fees. Then there's the cost of the actual instrument, and this is where the variance comes in. If a client is looking for, let's say, SBLC, that is cashback, transferable, divisible, callable, like that, at one of the top 20 banks, you're starting at mid-50s, 51, 52, 53, plus broker fees. If you're looking for non-callable SBLC, well, now that goes down to the 30s, like that. If you're looking for a fresh cut, this instrument is being cut right now, and your name is in the 70s. If you're looking for existing instrument that's already in the market, is like 42, like that. If you're looking for lease SBLC, which by the way, lease SBLCs are never callable, that varies from 11% to 42%. And by the way, lease SBLCs are not even monetizable, like that. And if you get an instrument, and the truth is, every year there's billions of dollars in instruments that gets issued, but they cannot be monetized because the joker broker didn't know what to do. The client didn't know what to ask for. There's billions of dollars. It's just like that. If you get the instrument that can be monetized, the client now has to pay for the reissuance of that. So heads up on that. So I want to answer some frequently asked questions. One frequently asked question I get is, Taimour, I'm going to getting an instrument. How do I know if this is real? How do you know if this is real? Is that you want to have an account with Euroclear or Bloomberg. Every instrument should have a ISI number, a QSIP number, and you should be able to go to Bloomberg or Euroclear, put in the ISI and QSIP number, and see the beneficiary of the instrument is the name of the client, and that should match up. If on the instrument you have lots of zeros, it means the source of the fund is heritage funds, and that you're going to have a hard time monetizing it for sure. It's going to be a lot harder. It is possible to monetize it at banks in Singapore, like that, so it's not impossible. You have to work with an experienced player like LineCredit.ai to know how to do that, but I certainly have seen clients really struggle with getting an instrument, and then they go, hold on a second, why can I not monetize it? Or they get something called GPI download. GPI download is because the source of funds is sovereign funds, heritage funds, funds that the bank can verify, is off the books funds like that. So there's a lot of times where, like, the truth is, billions of dollars in instruments never get monetized, simply because the client didn't know what on earth they're getting, and they work with joker brokers who are just, the guy would have been better serving his life being an Uber cab driver rather than being a broker. Next question is, I would like someone to help issue a SBLC for us. What are our options? If you're looking for somebody to issue SBLC, the truthful thing is you have to pick up your phone, call your banker, and say, Mr. Banker, I have, I don't know, $500 million in my bank account. I'd like to issue SBLC, and the beneficiary is this person. That's a correct, truthful way of doing it like that. If you don't want to go down that route, you can go and call a lot of brokers out there. They would love to get paid commission. Unfortunately, a lot of them have a lot of misinformation, so you have to sift through hundreds of that information. But brokers are out there that can assist you, and then if none of those work, you can contact LineCredit.ai and retain us to help issue that SBLC for you. If you want to, the next question I got is, if you guys purchase a SBLC for us, what are the costs and timelines? Well, the cost is the cost of the SBLC. Is it callable, non-callable? Is it revocable? Like, what is it you're looking for? So I can't give you the cost of the SBLC because I don't know what is it you're specifically looking for. You're looking for lease. Well, that is 11 to 42%. You're looking for fresh guide, it's 72%. You're looking for what would this, it varies, but our fees within line of credit is 1.5% plus. If we got introduced to you by a broker, then it's that broker fee on top of it, and our timelines are usually 7 to 10 banking days, generally speaking. If you guys monetize an instrument for us, what would be the cost and timelines? Our cost is 1.5% if there's a broker, then that's their fees on top. Timelines is 7 to 10 banking days. Can line of credit.ai issue us a recourse and non-recourse loans with our SBLC? The answer is yes. It's an alternative to SBLCs. The answer is yes. It's called custodian accounts. There are lots of banks out there, Wells Fargo, I use Barclays, that offer custodian services. You pay for it. A depositor deposits money in a custodian account, like a SBLC where the money gets blocked. In a custodian account, the money gets blocked. And then I have, let's say, a bond, and I can borrow money against the bond. So that's the alternative to SBLCs, is to learn, educate yourself on what custodian bank accounts are, custodian banks are, and go set up a custodian account. Why is it so difficult for providers to provide a $7.99 upfront? Here's what I'm going to say. I want you to really imagine this. Like truly, I want to invite you to imagine this. Imagine you're traveling and you have a daughter, a young daughter who's single, and you have a big house. And it's one Saturday night, a stranger walks into that house, knocks on the door and says, "Can you, Mrs. Daughter, show me proof of your funds and how much money do you have in your bank account?" Would you, as a responsible parent, want your daughter to take that phone, open the door, and show proof of funds? Like, would you want her to do that? If your truthful answer is no, then why on earth would you expect monetizers to give you a $7.99? You don't know who the monetizer is. You're asking for proof of funds up front. I wouldn't call that stupidity. I don't know what I would call it professionally on a video, but that would be why you would have a difficult time getting a $7.99 up. Just being very frank and honest with you. Next question, I guess, what are sovereign funds? Sovereign funds are money that belongs to a country. Why would someone send a SBLC that requires a GPI download? First of all, the number of monetizers that can do a GPI download is limited, and I'm proud to say that credit.ai is one of those we can assist on GPI downloads. So I'm proud to say that. The reason when a provider gives you a SBLC from HSBC or wherever and so GPI download is because the source of the funds is off ledger, or it could be heritage funds, it could be sovereign funds, like that. Why is the credit rating of the bank important? If I want to ask you, some bank in South Africa or in Africa claims to have $100 million, Barclays claims to have $100 million. Which of the two are you going to trust? That's why the credit rating of the bank matters. When you want to monetize an instrument, the first thing that matters is the issuing bank should have a credit rating of A or A plus and higher, like that. Next question is, what does MT mean? MT 760, MT 79, and whatever. MT means message type, and you're using this message type in a system called a SWIFT system, which, by the way, is about to be obsolete once blockchain takes over. Which types of organizations are best suited for issuing or monetizing banking instruments? My answer, the best organizations suited, ready to do this are private equity firms like us and family offices. This category has invested money in various banks, has created credit facilities, and can do things that banks cannot do. More importantly, these joker brokers out there who have no technical banking skills wouldn't even know what these things are. But the answer is look for a private equity firm like ours or a family office. The next one is, how is monetizing SBLCs different compared to MTNs, IBOEs, DLCs, SKRs, etc.? Everything is different. How you monetize a SKR versus an IBOE versus SBLC is significantly different. I'll tell you one thing that's common in all of them, and that's the credit rating of the issuer. If the issuer of the SKR, if the issuer of the SBLC, issuer of IBOE is a reputable organization, you can monetize it and you can get high value on it. That's the answer. Next question is, we have a big instrument that we would like to bring to you. Why do you want to charge us a consulting fee, and why can't you get paid in the back end? I love this question. I charge a lot of money for picking up my phone. I charge a lot of money for my time and expertise. I'm not shy about it. I'm not hidden about it. I'm very upfront that my time, my team's time is extremely valuable to us. The truth is, the only thing I cannot buy with money right now is time. That's the only thing I cannot buy. So if somebody's looking for my time, they are paying for it. And if you don't like it, please lose my number and find somebody else. But I charge for my time upfront because a lot of these instruments are fake. A lot of the brokers are fake. The client is fake. And so by having an upfront fee, it removes a lot of the junk leads out of our funnel for sure. Next question is, we would like to purchase an instrument. How is working with line of credit different compared to alternative options? We are a private equity firm. So instrument that's in the market for 50, 52, 53, we are buying it at 48. If you want SBLC from HSBC, as example, it's rated at 52, 53%. We can issue that same SBLC, fresh cut in the name of the client, for 12%. Now I want to tell you how we do that. We take $12 million, we put $12 million in a private placement program that we know and we trust and produces a profit. We take that profit and buy an instrument at the market price that we can get at 48 or 50, whatever it is, and we sell to the client at 12. Our timeline is not in 7 to 10 banking days. If it was Barclays Bank that the client wanted, it would be 7 to 10 banking days. But in this case, it will be 45 banking days because the client's getting a cheap price because we're leveraging money in an instrument. Next question is, why are businesses choosing line of credit versus others? My answer is we have deep expertise in financial instruments. We have knowledge to get transactions done. We're reliable, people trust us, and because we get a higher LTV compared to what the market can. Those are the reasons why I feel we win a lot of business every single day. Why is it so hard for a client to move a lot of money from their bank? I don't know what a lot of money is, but here's how I'm going to answer it. If you have $5 in bank, I don't think you're going to have a time moving $5. If you have $5 billion in a bank, here's what you want to know. Every time you deposit money in any of the Western Hemisphere banks, like any of the top 20 banks, the central bank allows that bank to create a credit facility of 10 times multiples. So let's talk about Cayman Islands. If you had $500 million, as an example, you're putting it at Cayman Islands, well, that's giving your bank a credit facility of $5 billion. If I was a senior executive banking officer of that bank in Cayman Islands, I promise you, my bonus is on how much money is in that bank. I will make it difficult for a bank, for clients to move that through my processes, procedures, and things that I need. Now, what will circumvent me, what will override me is a client wanting to move the money out. But generally speaking, there's a lot of bonus checks when the client doesn't move their money out. So banks don't want you to move their money out, period. What's the process for buying and monetizing instruments with line of credit.ai? So if you want us to buy or monetize an instrument, I'll talk about the buy. I need to see proof of funds. I need to get the client's KYC. I'll provide you a service fee agreement, a mutual NDA agreement. Once that's signed, we'll give you a DOA, deed of agreement. Once you sign that, both sides have to execute. In monetizing instrument, I need to see a copy of the instrument, a CIS KYC of the client. I'll provide a service fee agreement. Once that's signed, both of us have to execute. Takes 7 to 10 banking days. My last 3 questions are: I need the language required to issue a SBLC. Can line of credit sell me some of the highest SBLCs that have been monetized? Yes, we have an online store. You can buy the top 3 SBLCs languaging that clients have, that you can purchase it. You can see SBLCs and how it's being languaged to provide the highest LTV. Second last question is, if I'm working exclusively with line of credit.ai, can I give you the language required for me to issue a SBLC to your bank? And if so, what's the process? I don't like to do, first of all, I love working exclusively because we're relationship people. So I love that exclusivity part of it. We can provide the languaging required to issue it either to us, or if you're going to be using a family office or something like that. If you have exclusivity, so the process will be you have to book a call with us, tell us what you want to do. fill up our fee agreement, our NDA and CA agreements, then we'll give you the documents that. Now, I do have a non-performance fee, so if you don't perform, I'm charging a lot of money for my time. We have a zero tolerance for what we do. Final question is, why do providers ask for upfront fees? The answer for that is that MT760s is a cost to issuing an MT760. Like, there's a real cost for it. And so providers, the legitimate providers, will say, put that money for that upfront fee in an escrow account, law firm like that, so that we can we can execute on a transaction for you. That's really, really important. The providers don't want them to be paying. They're nervous about it, right? They don't know if the client is going to go through or not. And they certainly don't want their banks to be paying for the banking fees or SWIFT fees and that. I hope that helps. My name is Taimour Zaman from LineOfCredit.ai. If you're looking to monetize an instrument like SBLC, bank guarantee, MTN, or you want to issue one, we'd love to be able to get on the phone and help you out. I look forward to the opportunity of working with you. Thank you.
Really thankful to even just come across LineOfCredit.ai. And Taimour, thank you for giving us ideas as far as what we need to do to get our business acquisitions off the ground, the route that we need to take in negotiating. That way we can hit the ground running. So we definitely appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Will? Yeah. Do you see a pathway for making money that you didn't see before the call?
Yeah. And again, I mimic Chinese answer to be able to spend this time with you. And it's like we were a movie star, but at the same time, to be able to sort through this, like hear us say it, but then you can kind of pick stuff out of it by certain things that we said. And then source money that we wasn't even thinking about, or a solution, and now we can go back to the seller and pull money, or let them see it in a way that's really someone who might be risk adverse, and then say, no, this is actually something good, and then we can try that, and then come back, and then actually build a long-term relationship with you and actually help others. So we're very excited with this and working with you and the Rich Uncle platform, and exploring some other financial vehicles as you talk about in your video. So this is going to be exciting.
Okay, so Richard, who are you and what have you got out of working with me, either on this call or on the materials I provided?
My name is Richard Kane, and I'm working on raising capital for projects throughout Africa, humanitarian infrastructure projects and some renewable energy projects. So I was just recently introduced to the concept of private placement programs, and I'm far from being an expert. So thanks to Taimour, I've been guided along that path, and I now understand the process much better. Thanks for that. And also I'm now familiar with the different routes I can take in moving forward, and also the work I have to do before I can move forward. So I'm really grateful for the time you've spent with me and guiding me in this way, and hopefully we'll speak again soon. Thank you.
Awesome.